starting to enter into the part of the year where Jesus Christ historically has, we're coming up on what the world calls Easter. And I don't particularly care for that name because it's kind of tied to some paganistic words that the church at that time adopted because there were so many people that were pagan was coming into the church. So the word Easter is tied to that. But suffice it to say, we're going to take a look at what would kind of led up to right before he was taken by the soldiers. And that was really the start of a lot of very quick dominoes that toppled once he was taken. But I wanted to show you why Jesus Christ gave his own life, why he was the one who chose to give his own life. Because, you know, if you're just going to be captured and executed, put on a mock trial and executed, that really isn't something you have control over once it starts. But the point where it was his choice was before that began. So we're going to take a look at this teaching, and I'm going to call it He Sweats Blood. He sweats blood. And we'll start out in Luke 22, verse 21. There aren't too many people in history that have been noted for giving their own life for another. It's not that it hasn't happened, because especially in times of war and great sacrifice like that, people have done that. But at times like that, a lot of it is a last minute decision to save a brother in arms and things like that. And that is certainly great courage, great love to do something like that. But this particular occasion for Jesus Christ was something that was prophesied many hundreds of years before it actually happened. And he knew from that and what the Father showed him that it was going to be necessary in order to redeem everyone who chose to believe, and that it was going to take his life to do it. And what did that mean to him? What was he telling them about that? And why that was necessary? So let's start in Luke 22, verse 21. But behold, the hand of him that betrayeth me is with me on the table. Remember who that is? Judas, right?
Oh, yeah.
And truly the Son of Man goeth, as it was determined, but woe unto that man by whom he is betrayed. And they began to inquire among themselves which of them it was that should do this thing. And there was also a strife among them, which of them should be accounted the what? Greatest. That was a part of their conversation. They just were told that Jesus Christ was going to be betrayed, and they wanted to know who's going to take over. Who's taking over after you're gone? You know, if you got to go to jail for a while, that's fine. But, you know, we need somebody to lead this outfit while you're gone. He said unto them, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. But ye shall not be so. But he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief as he that doth serve. And this is a concept that really gets over the heads of a lot of people, of what the responsibility that they seek, the recognition that they seek, the positions that they seek, only means that your life is more not yours than it is yours. Where your life is of service to people, and it's not going to be the other way around. Not if you're going to do it for God. If you're going to do it for yourself, yeah, you can take the high position the high seat and have all these people serving you and saying how great you are. But if that's what you're after, you won't be doing any work for God. But he is saying that if you're really going to be the greatest, you got to be the servant. And that is something that many people really want to do. Verse 27, for whether is greater, he that sitteth at meat, or he that serveth? Is not he that sitteth at meat? But I am among you as he that serveth. So he was seeing himself as the one serving them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. For whether is greater, he that ye are they which have continued with me in my temptations. I mean, Jesus Christ was tempted. Well, yeah, of course he was.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the devil does. The devil was always after him to tempt him and to get him to step away from God. And to first, it is, I am my own man. I'm in control of my own life. I want to do what I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. And then it is, I don't need you, God. I am my own God. That is where he wanted him to go, which really what winds up to be is you're not your own God. You're not serving the true God. You end up serving the false God. That's what the ultimate goal of the adversary is. 29, and I appoint unto you a kingdom, as my Father hath appointed unto me. He had the ability to delegate. If what God gave him, he could delegate to others. We see it in business all the time, right?
Yeah.
See it in government, we see it in business. It's not a new concept.
Mm-hmm.
Well, God delegated to him, gave him authority, and he's giving them authority.
Right.
30, that ye may eat and drink at my table in the kingdom, and sit on thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan doth desire to have you, that he may shift you as wheat. See, that's the goal, to control the thoughts and the actions of the believers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he wants to do. Sift him as wheat. It's an Oriental way of saying he is going to control them. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. And he saith unto him, Lord, I am ready to go with thee both into prison and to death.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I tell you, Peter, the cock shall not crow this day before thou shalt thrice deny me that thou knowest me. So, Peter, big words, but in reality, you're going to deny me. And he said unto them, when I sent you without purse and scrip and shoes, lacked ye anything? And they said nothing. So he sent them out to preach the gospel,
Mm-hmm.
the gospel of Jesus Christ and the coming of the Messiah. He said, don't take anything, because the Father's going to take care of you. And they said, and this is what he's reminding them of. God will take care of you. I'm sending you out, and God will take care of you. Then said he unto them, but now he that hath a purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip. And he that hath no sword, let him sell his garment and do what?
Buy one.
No, that sounds completely unchristian. I don't know why they were told to do this. All I know was that there was nothing that was evil in itself, having a means to protect yourself. Okay? So just for what it's worth. For I say unto you, that this that is written must yet be accomplished in me. And he was reckoned among the transgressors, for the things concerning me have an end. And they said, Lord, behold, here are 2 swords. And he said unto them, it's enough. So let's go to John chapter 6. John chapter 6, verse 24. This is where we see the purpose of why he needed to be crucified. And when the people therefore saw that Jesus was not there, neither his disciples, they also took shipping and came to Capernaum seeking for Jesus. Now, Capernaum is a town. It was a pretty big town for that area, but it was at the very northern tip of the Sea of Galilee. So just to kind of give you a mental idea. Sea of Galilee is a big lake. It's a big lake. And it's a deep lake.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody can go all the way around it. It isn't like they can't get all the way around it. So some of them were actually chasing them along the shoreline. Some of them were getting in ships, trying to follow him. And when they had found him on the other side of the sea, they said unto him, Rabbi, when comest thou hither? When did you get over here? And Jesus answered them and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, ye seek me not because you saw the miracles, but because ye did eat the loaves and were filled. So, remember the loaves and the fishes?
Mm-hmm.
That happened twice. And of course, food was very, very important.
It is.
And they thought, well, here's the great bread giver. Now, you're going to fill our stomachs. Let's go and listen to him. But the point that he's making is, you saw the miracles. People were healed. The lame were able to walk. The blind was able to see. The deaf could hear. People who were emaciated and strangled in disease was able to get up and walk. And there were other times when he actually raised the dead. You all saw this. But that isn't what impressed you. What impressed you was bread, food. And you kind of go, well, that's kind of harsh, isn't it? Well, not when it's the truth. Labor not for the meat which perish, but for the meat which endureth unto everlasting life. Now, of course, he's not talking about spam. You know, that'll last forever. But the point is that it's a figure of speech. You know, this is the true meat that has everlasting life, which the Son of Man shall give unto you. For him hath God the Father sealed. Interesting idea, sealed. You know what they did when they wanted to make sure that nobody broke something open and changed something or broke into a room? They would put a lock on it, and then they put a seal on it, which would be wax, and then they would put their signet ring on it or some kind of thing to indicate who's sealing this. Well, they did that to Jesus Christ's tomb too. But the point is that he was sealed. In other words, nobody's going to change anything here. His life has a purpose. Then said they unto him, What shall we do that we might work the works of God? Good question. Now we're getting someplace. Jesus answered and said unto them, This is the work of God, that ye believe on him whom he hath sent. Now that doesn't sound like work to me. How much work do you have in believing? No. Everybody thinks if I do something, if there's something physically I can do, then God will take notice. That isn't what he's after. What he's after is that the unbeliever believe on Jesus. That's not hard. Anybody can do it. It just takes the will to do it. You have to decide to do it. Verse 30. They said therefore unto him, what sign showest thou then, that we may see and believe? What dost thou work? Prove yourself. Show us something. Our fathers did eat manna in the desert, as it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat. Back to bread again.
Love our bread.
That's right. And they're reminding Jesus, well, this is what God showed our forefathers. Wouldn't that be a great miracle? Manna. You know, we're hungry again. Thing about eating is you're always going to get hungry again. Verse 32. Then Jesus said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, Moses gave ye not that bread from heaven, but my Father gave you the true bread from heaven. It wasn't Moses that did it, it was God. For the bread of God is he that cometh down from heaven and giveth life unto the world. Then said they unto him, Lord, evermore give us this bread. He said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. But, you know, we're talking entirely two different subjects here. They're looking for physical food to eat, and he's saying, I am the food to eat. I am the one that God has sent to give you life. Not the manna, me. Verse 37 or 36. But I say unto you that ye also have seen me and believe not. It blows my mind that people think that if I just see a miracle, if I just see Jesus, I'll believe. They had Jesus with them, saw the miracles, and they didn't believe. So it isn't in seeing miracles. It isn't in seeing the power of God that convinces anybody. It gets their attention, sure, but it doesn't cause them to believe. Verse 37. All that the Father giveth me shall come to me, and him that cometh to me I will in no wise cast out. So the Father is working in the hearts of people, and those are the ones that are drawn to Christ.
Nice.
Now, everybody's story is going to be different. Everybody has a different testimony of how God worked them to the point to where they believed. And that's the beauty of our God, is that he's not limited to one way or one style or anything like that. He is a God that knows us individually and takes care of us. And then he says, I will in no wise cast out. So if the Father brings you, you're mine. You're mine now. You're part of the sheep that I have. Verse 38. For I came down from heaven, not of mine own will, but by the will of him that sent me. This is the Father's will which has sent me, that of all which he has given me, I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day. Well, are we Christ?
Yes.
Are we going to be alive at his coming? Not all of us.
No.
If he comes back tomorrow, there's still people we knew that died in Christ. That'll be the last day when he comes back, okay? And he raises us up. And this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day. There's twice. The Jews that murmured at him because he said, I am the bread which came down from heaven. And they said, the Jews, is not this Jesus the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How is it then that he said, I come down from heaven? You were a natural birth. We saw you as a baby. We saw you grow up. What do you mean you came down from heaven? Well, first of all, they had no idea how he was born, that she was a virgin when she got pregnant. It was God that planted the seed in and all that stuff. But then they don't understand what Jesus Christ is trying to say is that I came from heaven to do my Father's will. God had been planning this means of salvation from the very beginning. And he, all through the Old Testament, you see that he is protecting that bloodline from Adam all the way to Christ.
Cool.
And he would interject promises along the way to narrow it down to closer and closer to a last individual family, which was David. And then that's why Jesus, mother and father, are from that lineage of David. So he came out of that lineage, but was also of divine conception, which he was the only one that has ever had that, was ever in the world by that means. Jesus therefore answered and said unto them, murmur not among yourselves. No man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. And it's 3 times. It is written in the prophets, and they shall be all taught of God. Every man therefore that hath heard and hath learned of the Father, come unto me. Not that any man has seen the Father, save he which is of God. He has seen the Father. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me hath everlasting life. I am the bread of life. Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness and are what? Dead. This is the bread which cometh down from heaven, that a man may eat thereof and not die. I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. That's why it had to be his decision. He had to decide to give it. God couldn't make him do it, wouldn't make him do it. But he just said right here at the 6th chapter of John, there's a lot more written after this that he did. But he said right from the very beginning, this is my purpose. The Jews therefore strove among themselves, saying, how can this man give us his flesh to eat? Then Jesus said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, except ye eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, ye have no life in you. Oh God, now, can you just see the little lips are flapping? They're just like in the cartoons, the steam's coming out of their ears. For my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. He that eateth my flesh and drinketh my blood dwelleth in me, and I in him. That's relationship, isn't it? That is establishing the relationship we have with Jesus Christ. When we accept that sacrifice and that God raised him from the dead, make him Lord in our life, then we have Christ in us and we are his. As the living Father has sent me, and I live by the Father, so he that eateth me, even he that shall live by me. Well, now they're really getting angry. This is that bread which came down from heaven, not as your father did eat manna and are dead. He that eateth of this bread shall live forever. These things said he in the synagogue as he taught in Capernaum. He didn't shy away from controversy, did he? He didn't say, oh, I better say this in somebody's house in private to my special friends. He gave the people that were in that synagogue a chance to hear. Jesus just lays out the reason for his life and why he gave it. Now let's go to chapter 16. Verse 1. These things have I spoken unto you, that you should not be offended. They shall put you out of the synagogues. Yea, the time shall come that whosoever killeth you will think that they doeth God service.
Mhm.
And these things will they do unto you, because they have not known the Father nor me. How many Christians you think have been martyred because of their belief?
Lots of tons.
Millions over time. And it's still happening today.
Mhm.
Do you think the Muslims believe that they're doing their God a favor by killing the Christians? Yeah, absolutely. Verse 4. But these things I have told you, that when the time shall come, ye remember that I told you of them. And these things I said not unto you at the beginning, because I was with you. But now I go my way to him that sent me, and none of you asketh me, whither goest thou? But because I have said these things unto you, sorrow hath filled your heart.
Mhm.
Nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is expedient for you that I go away. For if I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you. But if I depart, I will send him unto you. And when he is come, he will reprove the world of sin, and of righteousness, and of judgment. Well, where does the Comforter come? To us.
Yeah.
He doesn't come and sit someplace and make judgment over the world. He comes to us. So what does that do for us? It helps us separate ourselves from the world. Be able to recognize light from darkness, truth from error. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too. All right, where am I at?
Okay.
9.
9, okay.
Thanks.
Of sin, because they believe not on me. Of righteousness, because I go to my Father, and ye see me no more. Of judgment, because the prince of this world is judge. Who's that? The devil.
Mhm.
I have yet many things to say unto you, but ye cannot bear them now. We want to grow as far and as fast with God as we can.
Mhm.
All right. But there are things that God is going to show us next year that we wouldn't have any clue to what it means now. We just haven't grown far enough. We haven't experienced enough,
Mhm.
maybe. But the point is that we have an individual curriculum laid out by God. And he will teach us if we are a good student. If we're meek to receive, he will teach us. Verse 13, howbeit when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth. For he shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak, and he will show you things to come. That's called revelation. This is how revelation works. God's Spirit teaches his Spirit in you, which is now your spirit, and your spirit teaches your mind. And then it comes into concretion as you act. So that's how it works. God instructs our spirit, and our spirit instructs our mind, and then we act on it.
Yeah.
Verse 14. He shall glorify me, for he shall receive of mine, and shall show it unto you. All things that the Father hath are mine. Therefore said I, that he shall take of mine, and shall show it unto you. a little while, ye shall not see me. And again, a little while, and ye shall see me, because I go to the Father. Then said some of the disciples among themselves, what is this that he saith unto us? A little while, and he shall not see me, and again a little while, and he shall not. I'm confused. Because I go to the Father? They said, therefore, what is this that he saith? A little while. We cannot tell what he saith. Now Jesus knew that they were desirous to ask him, and said unto them, do ye inquire among yourselves of that I said, a little while, and you shall not see me, and again a little while you shall see me?
Jeez.
That was a tongue twister I had to say 3 times. Verily I say unto you, that ye shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice. And ye shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned to joy. There's this movie, I can't remember what the name of it was. It came out recently, where it's the story of a centurion that was a part of Christ's crucifixion. And then when the body disappeared out of the tomb, they start bringing in the disciples or the apostles to question him. Where'd you take the body? And I just love the way it was portrayed, because you couldn't wipe the smiles off their faces. I mean, they're in the presence of the Roman Empire here, the power of the Roman Empire, and they're just like giggling on the inside because they had seen the resurrected Christ. Boy, what a day. Turned into joy. A woman, when she is in travail, has sorrow, because her hour is come. But as soon as it is delivered of the child, she remembereth no more the anguish for joy that a man is born into the world. And ye now therefore have sorrow, but I will see you again, and your heart shall rejoice, and your joy no man taketh from you. And in that day ye shall ask me nothing. Verily, verily, I say unto you, whatsoever ye shall ask the Father in my name, he will give it you. So the relationship's about ready to change. When Jesus Christ was in the presence of them, they could inquire of him anytime. They could ask of him anything. But he's going to say, I'm not going to be here for you to do that with. But if you ask the Father in my name, he will give it to you. In the Oriental culture, when you invoke the name of somebody, like you're representing them in a business deal, or they want to have a message sent from them and they send you in their name, if you proclaim that I'm saying this to you in Joe Blow's name, well, if you have respect for Joe Blow, you pay attention.
Yeah.
Well, God has set it up that when we come in our prayers to him in the name of Jesus Christ, where we are acknowledging everything that he's done, not only in his life and ministry, but in his death and resurrection, that because of that, God answers our prayers. It is that belief of what Jesus Christ accomplished that he answers our prayers. Believe me, millions of people are praying to God all the time, right?
Yeah.
All right. Why are some people's prayers answered and others aren't? Well, there's one explanation. Are you praying because you have a need? Believe me, everybody's got needs. Or are we praying with believing that the answers to our prayers is because of what Christ did? Hitherto have I asked nothing in my name. Ye have asked nothing in my name. Ask, and ye shall receive, that your joy may be full. These things have I spoken unto you in Proverbs. But the time cometh when I shall no more speak unto you in Proverbs, but I shall show you plainly of the Father. At that day ye shall ask in my name, and I And I say not unto you that I will pray the Father for you. For the Father himself loveth you, because ye have loved me, and have believed that I came out from God. I came forth out of the Father, and came again into the world. I leave the world, and go to the Father. His disciples said unto him, Lo, now speakest thou plainly, and speaketh no proverb. All right, is this it? We're getting the real story here? Now are we sure that thou knowest all things, and needeth not that any man should ask thee. By this we believe that thou comest forth from God. And Jesus said unto them, Do ye now believe? Behold, the hour cometh, yea, is now come, that ye shall be scattered, every man to his own, and shall leave me alone. And yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. And these things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Then they go to the Mount of Olives, it says, and I think in Luke. And then in John, it talks about them going into the garden. And I wanted to show you this picture. I picked this up in Israel when I was over there on a tour. But let's see if I can get that lamp out of the way.
Yeah, it goes.
Yeah, move that on. Okay. This picture is taken from the vantage point of the Mount of Olives. You see all those little gravestones? You know why they're there? Because it's a common belief among the Jews that if they're planted near the temple, that they'll be first raised. So they
Show us with your finger.
right up in here.
Oh, geez,
Yeah, and
that
right
was a
below
lot.
me, right there,
Oh, I
this
see.
whole hillside. When this got filled up, they went across the valley. But you see over here, see that area right down there?
Yeah,
All those tall trees?
yeah,
That's the Garden of Gethsemane.
cool.
That's at the base of the Mount of Olives.
What's beyond the wall? Is that like a city or
This is the temple area.
behind
right-
the wall, the other side of the
right
wall?
There, I'm doing everything's backwards from when I feels it. That is the Golden Gate. Okay, it's walled up now. You can't go in and out of that now.
Mhm.
The Muslims know that Jesus Christ is going to return and go through that gate. So they thought they would keep that from happening
Oh, geez.
by bricking it up. But see the distance from that to the garden down there,
Yeah,
it's maybe a quarter mile.
oh, that's where he walked.
That's where he was at praying.
He was praying, okay.
And it says that he sweated like blood because his prayers were so intense that the Father would perhaps tell him another way. If there's any other way that this could be without me dying, without me going through this. But it's not my will, but thy will be done. And then there's some drama about them falling asleep. He asked him to stay awake and pray while he's off talking to God, and he kept falling asleep. But when Judas left that table and went to betray him to the priests, the high priest,
Mhm.
they came out of that gate at night with torches. And as Jesus is praying, he can see him come out of the gate.
Coming after him.
As I stood in that garden and looked up there, I could see it was a clear shot. When they were coming down that hillside with those torches to get him, he knew who was coming and who they were coming for. He could very easily slipped away. At night, they would have never caught him. I don't know how many times he got away from people who tried to kill him before this. But the point is, he knew what was coming. And he stood his ground. And from that point forward, it was one pain after another.
Oh,
And it was so bad that the word says they couldn't recognize him. There was a movie called The Passion of the Christ. You remember how badly he looked? Saw an interview of the actor. During the filming of that, he was ill, number one. Number two, when they were acting out the lashes, he caught one and it ripped open his back. And then when he was hauling the cross, he almost got a concussion from doing that. Now that you go, oh gosh, he's really suffering for his craft. But that didn't even begin to approach what Jesus Christ endured. But why did he do it?
whereas,
You and me. He did it for you and me. God showed him what it was going to take, and he did it for the joy that was set before him. He endured the cross. I'm sure that each one of those stripes was not joyful, but the end was joy.